Hello, listeners of Channel 6 Jovian Radio. As always, I'm here, and you're there, wherever there may be. I'd like to say that I am still committed to bringing you tens of viewers out there my voice as regularly as I can, but I've recently had to pick up some shifts on the 4.2 to 5.2 AU trade route. They said they're happy to have a long-termer on that route. Apparently the employee turnover rate for a comms operator out there is pretty high. Wonder why. Today I figured I'd bring y'all on my monthly checkup on the Jupiter 4.2 comm satellite. We're coming up on the perihelion here, so the closer comm satellites can take a bit of a hit from the radiation sometimes. It's about 3% of the stuff in Zone 1. Well, without further ado, why don't I hand you guys off to some station news while I take my old girl over to the satellite. Should be back in about half an hour. See you soon! Good evening, everyone. It seems this is our second show this evening, and I'd like to start by saying that I forgot about this part of the map last time, so I decided to just shove it into the intro of this. I added a little addition here that gets to our flower farm over there. So it's getting a little extensive, if you can't see. My idea is that once, because these will be out of render distance when we are working on the Mothership, so we don't have to worry about lag. Because my render distance is actually only 12, but then I use distant horizons to make it look nicer. So I want to make a giant, circular map in the middle of the Mothership, which I will only be doing after I add in the storage system, because I don't want to lag out everything. So if the storage system can handle it, then we'll do it. If not, I'll put the map somewhere else. Because I do want to have, a map that's just ever-changing instead of being frozen at episodes, and it'll be a nice, cohesive circle. Okay, so today I think I would like to start talking at least about our plans for the Mothership. And before we get to that, I've decided to also add that today my drink of choice is Earl Grey tea, hot. Yes, I said that on purpose. I'm hilarious. So if you'd like to join me in that, please feel free. And with that said, I am gonna start the day with some sketches. Okay, this part is relatively unscripted, but it is the third time that I am recording this, is because all of the other ones have been 20 minutes long, so I'm gonna just get straight to the point. I want to talk about the Mothership today, and what you can see on screen right now is some of the drawings that I've been working through, the sketches, and you'll notice that I'm trying really hard to abide by my little pet peeve that I have. My pet peeve is gravity in spaceships, and I have two factors here that I need to pay attention to. Number one is that the Mothership is going to be my main base, probably for the duration of this series. It's going to be my storage room and all those good Minecrafty things, so it needs to be relatively functional, which means I can't actually put things that I need on the walls and stuff, because the way that artificial gravity is generated, in theory, is by rotation, where when you spin around and the centripetal force pushes you back, that is how the gravity is produced. But you'll probably have noticed that I'm breaking my own rule in Demeter. You'll notice that Demeter has windows, and that space is not rotating past the broadcaster as they're talking, which is inaccurate if I'm following my pet peeve. So unfortunately, I'm having to compromise. What you can see in some of these drawings is these donut-shaped wheels on the outside of the ship. This is how I'm gonna compromise. I'm gonna say that for some sci-fi reason, this works. That's enough rotational speed, even though it doesn't really make sense because it's not actually pushing people against the floor, which is how it should be working. and I'm just as disappointed as you guys. But unfortunately it needs to work in the context of Minecraft, which means I can't put things on the walls and the ceiling. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to sci-fi it up a little bit. I was also kind of playing with the idea that the gravity comes from constant acceleration, where like the inside of the ship was kind of on some sort of gyroscope, and the fact that they're constantly moving forward or orbiting would be why, but then I was just running into even more logistical issues, and then just decided to scrap it altogether. And I'm still not willing to go for it's a thing in the engine that just like makes the gravity do the gravity things, you know? Which is kind of hypocritical given that a lot of my inspirations for the builds in this series are from Firefly and Star Trek, which are both series notorious for it's a thing in the engine that does the gravity thingies, which I completely understand though, because it's like real people, real actors in the real world on Earth, you know, there's only so much you can do. So these are the designs that I've been coming up with, and I even ended up drawing it in the world as well, which isn't fully accurate to where I am now in recording. This is after I've started building it in the world, when I'm recording now. So it's not quite what it looks like at the end of the day, but you'll see. Yeah. And the last thing that I was working on was some floor plan stuff for it, just to kind of give myself an idea of what the interior is going to look like, because once again, I'm going to do the interior first. I'm going to start with some wireframing and then go into the interior. I'm thinking about possibly making another video dedicated to lore stuff, because this is getting very long and I don't want to clog up these videos with things that people aren't necessarily super interested in. I would like to say that if you're here, you gotta be here for at least some of the story, because this is not fully a Let's Play. I've recently kind of rebranded a little bit into talking more about being a writer-illustrator who also happens to play Minecraft. It's not like your traditional Let's Play, but I still don't want to overwhelm you guys with me talking and me drawing and all these things. I still want it to be quite Minecrafty. So if you are interested in the lore specifically, I might make a dedicated video to that. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. Let's hop back to the build. I was getting concerned about the size of what I'm planning for the mothership versus the area that I have. I think we're good. That took me, I want to say 3 hours, and this is my third trip worth of stuff. Man, I do like having the Nether hub set up so quickly in the series. So I got a little busy. This is what they would call the clear cut. And this is the mountain that I am putting the mothership on. And I got a little busy. I've got about 5 double chests of spruce wood. And 2 dogs. Oh, 3 dogs. 4 dogs. 5 dogs? Okay, 5 dogs. 6 dogs. Okay, I think I've beaten this joke now. But if I spot another dog, I will say it again. And I'd like to clarify that this is not I built an entire spaceship in 100 days in hardcore Minecraft thing. This is the starting episode of our, I guess it's a mega base kind of idea. I'm still trying to keep this progress nice and slow, more chill paced. I'm not going to be dragging it out or anything. I'm still working at a decent pace, but I'm not rushing, I think, is the whole thing. I am, I'd like to say, pretty good at the game. So I could speedrun if I wanted to, but I just don't find that nearly as fun, especially with, I really like to have a long-term goal. Usually when I am cutting down trees, I do this so that I don't pick up a bunch of garbage. Perfect stacks of 64, lovely. But yeah, I like to have a long-term project, gives me something to work on. In my forever world, it was a giant cyberpunk city, which in the grand scheme of Minecraft YouTube is not huge. Maybe I will throw up a picture on the screen now of that world. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that big, but it did take me 5 years. Probably because I was a lot more employed then. I was a full-time high schooler, right? Now I am going to college, but I've been taking a gap semester right now, which is why I'm on episode 14 currently, which is March 10th recording this of 2026. Also, my apologies, I just realized that my game volume has been off for probably this whole recording. It's on now. But yeah, I think this episode I'm gonna start working through some storage system elements, maybe even digging out kind of a channel of where I want this to go. The idea is from these pictures, actually, you can see in the pictures that I was working on that when I actually placed the ship in the world, is I used a sort of third wheel in the middle, and that's because I wanted to make it bigger. I wanted to have more space to do stuff inside, and I thought that made the most sense that all 3 wheels would spin in as like one cohesive unit without having rods going across that would kind of box it into this sort of square shape. So this makes it a little bit more ovular, which I think is kind of interesting looking. And the thing is, this is actually going to be where the back of the ship goes. The sort of cargo bay is what I'm going for. It's going to be the sort of not quite the lowest level of the ship. It's going to be the second lowest. I think there's going to be 5 floors. And this is going to be floor number 2. Floor number 1, I'm going to put a bunch of machinery that's going to like behave like the engine, except it's going to be non-functional. Like I said, the ship was salvaged for its like flyable parts, which is actually something that I really want to include into our little towns along this strip here, is utilizing machinery that looks like it was part of the ship. This was not my idea when I made the generator inside the windmill, but in retrospect, I think that was a piece of the mothership that was used as a power cell where the energy from the windmill could be stored. Because these people didn't intend on leaving via the mothership. They would be leaving via shuttles, their own ships, you know, turning it into an actual colony. Just like Earth, which I'm going to be calling Terra, because I have a bias towards Earth and the Moon being called Luna and Terra, which I think I already said. Also, I'd like to just clarify here that nothing bad happened to Earth/Terra. Just overpopulation. I'm just picturing there was no apocalypse or anything, just people have expanded too much as a civilization, and just there were too many people for the resources that were on Terra, and they needed to expand. Okay, it has been a while since I've been in this world, because I have been working in my creative testing world for a very long time, And you're probably all like, no, don't show us what the mothership is gonna look like if you've already built it. We don't want to see it in Litematica. That would be boring. Don't make it in Litematica first. Thing is, it's all made out of wool. The whole thing is made out of wool. Because I don't really know what it's gonna look like yet. And this is also a really basic skeleton of the storage system only. It's just a classic storage system. And I think I'm even going to tweak it as we go along anyway. I don't think that it will end up looking like this shape-wise, but what I like to do with massive builds like this is kind of block out the shape. And even I don't know where this is going to go. Like, this is probably not what it will look like at the end, so it's not me spoiling things. This is basically the way that I do my wireframing. You know how a lot of people will do wireframing with their builds, right? This is my wireframing, is I take the whole thing and make it out of wool in whole Technicolors in Creative, and that is how I end up with the shape that I want. And I think this is where it's gonna go, with its kind of like wheel arms going into the ground. And I think our first step is gonna be to dig out this thing here, and also use a whole bunch of pale moss to actually wireframe this thing. So by the end of the episode, it will be in the world as you are expecting it. So why don't we hop to that, and I will see you in a moment. So, we have returned. And I didn't really include any clips of me working on the wireframing, just because it was quite boring. Just me placing moss constantly. So, we have a wireframe. Ta-da! Oh, she's beautiful on the horizon over there. That'll look great when it's fully fleshed out. Oh, I'm so excited. Check out that beauty over there. Man. Why don't we take a closer look through the nether? Whee! Oh yeah, also I added some water there just because I kept falling to my death whenever I would respawn, because I died quite a few times working on this wireframe just because I don't have feather falling on my boots for some reason, even though I actually do have a feather falling villager. Right, we got exploded by a creeper. And I don't have flint and steel in my inventory because it got lost on one of my deaths. Alright. Here she is. So you'll notice that I did not include the back of the ship, but I did include some of the front, and that is simply because this is a perfect sphere, and I think I'm just gonna use Litematica to do the perfect sphere. Just it's so annoying to do by hand. This is more of like circles just going in, like slightly smaller circles continually. And I think I'm gonna make this a mothership episode in which I'm gonna start digging out the area underneath here, because I want it to be the amount of space for what I want to do on the interior. Plus, I'd like to start working on the storage system, at least getting a floor in, which I think I'm just going to make out of smooth stone. So why don't we hop to some digging, because that can always be an interesting time lapse. Looks kind of neat. Hello, hello. We are back and we have a huge hole in the ground. And this is actually really interesting because I did not know that this cave was here until I started digging. And looking at the schematic, the glass portion actually goes inside the lush cave, which is just awesome because it really works with that idea that I was trying to do of having the ship kind of embedded into the mountain. Like the mountain kind of grew around the ship, and I think that lush cave just absolutely sells it. And I think it would be really cool if we kind of made some custom terrain down here, still keeping the lush cave idea obviously, but just making it a little bit cooler, I guess. But yeah, this is the space that we are working with, and I think the next thing that I'd like to do is two things. I'd like to start blocking in a spot for our storage system, and also thinking of making a bamboo farm. And going back to the schematic, I want to leave this spot open for now, so I'm not going to make it down here, but I think I'm going to make it down the center of this engineering layer, which is the green layer here. And I think that could be effective, taking like half of the back of the ship here, or maybe even the front, because I'm picturing that the back has the engine. So taking kind of like the front area here, so that whenever we're in our storage system, we are farming wood, which is great. I think I have enough wood for our chests and hoppers from the forest that I tore down to build this. So I think we're good there, but I always just need wood for components. Not like pretty building wood, but like wood for crafting things, like chests and things. So I think that's going to be our next thing. I'm going to go grab a whole bunch of smooth stone and start putting in a floor on that blue layer there, right above us. And also I am constantly and painfully reminded that I do not have access to shulker boxes yet, because I keep forgetting that if I don't have wings, then I don't have shulker boxes. So everything is being carted over here by hand. So while I'm here, I'm gonna grab a whole bunch of stone that I can then put into our super smelter, which I think I'm also gonna build a super smelter in the mothership. Oh, hello dog. Just once again, so that when we're in our storage system, we can chuck things into that and have them being smelted. I'm thinking of maybe actually, when I make the super smelter in the mothership, have that be the engine. Like, I think it could just look interesting. I think that could be effective of being the engine. So technically the main way to get in here would be elytra, but number one, I do not have elytra right now, and number two is I always require there to be a way to get somewhere with zero stuff. So I think I'm also gonna have like little shuttle bays along the side that also have entrances connected to them, so that I can get in other ways than just via elytra. I'm thinking that I am gonna double layer the floor, because I just think that that could make it easier building wise in the future. So let's see what I can do here. I really need to light this place up. Filling up the place with torch spam that I'm probably gonna have to remove later. Heck yeah. The birthplace of a new headache for me in the future. Da 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 bah. But currently it's gonna keep me from getting dead, which is great. I love not being dead. Not being dead is great. Da 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 ba 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 da ba ba. I'm gonna get dead. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Getting murdered in Minecraft. This is both a stupid method and also, for me, the most effective method of torch spamming an absolutely huge area. And also quite hazardous. Hopefully we will never have this problem again after I torch spam the whole zone. Ow. Oh no, the sun's coming up. I won't be able to see where the torches are needed. Okay, I think that's good enough. Alright. And then on the top of the bridge here is just gonna be frog lights instead. Okie dokie, here we go. Perfect. Okie dokie, cool. Now run back because I don't have shulker boxes. Yay! Okie dokie. So the next thing that I decided to do was just dive right into working on the super smelter. And I ended up trying a bit of a different style with this one. As you can see, stuck it into replay mod, and now I'm voicing over instead of adding just music. Because I find that when I try to talk when I build, I either don't get my thoughts out right, or the build just kind of starts to degrade into messiness, and it just doesn't look the way that I want it to, or it takes me too long, especially with technical stuff. So I decided to try this. I've seen a couple of other people do it, and I will see how it goes. What you guys think, what I think, all the good things. This is basically just a regular old little super smelter. You can see me struggling a lot with the hopper clock. I do know how to use a hopper clock, just trying to fit it into the spot that I wanted it in was really annoying. And you can also see that I ended up putting 2 rails at the end instead of 1, which took me forever to figure out why it wasn't working. I also just decided to have the fuel minecart just going around continuously instead of stopping. So it's just one big loop. I find that the fuel one is pretty easy because the items are just stacked to 1, right? Because they're lava buckets. So it doesn't need time to pick up enough items to go around. It's just the 1. And it can only pick up 5 at a time anyway. I also decided to do some of that visible element to it, except I didn't want the redstone to be visible in this case, just the minecarts going around. Also just decided to layer the orange glass on top of the pearlescent frog lights, which actually I really like. I like how that's turned out. Usually I would put the ochre ones behind it, but I only had the pearlescent ones on me and I didn't want to go get more. So I ended up using the pearlescent ones, and I think it turned out really well. And then around the edge, I just worked through some lava farm thingies, whatever you call those. And I added way more than in the city area. Because I want this to kind of serve as the engine sort of thing. Because I don't really have a concrete idea of what the engine looks like, so I decided to make it functional and just have it be my super smelter. I think I discussed that earlier, that was my idea. And I didn't film me putting all the lava in because it was just a lot of waiting around and then filling up the top. I also think I'm going to be using a lot of bone block, so I might need to go and fix my farm in the future because it seems kind of broken right now. Alright, I will hand you back to me. Hello, hello, a bit of a different segment there. Let me know what you think of that. I think I might do that more often because I found it was a little bit more effective than my usual time lapses because I kind of had things to say about the build, but I wasn't able to articulate it while I was building. Because for me, for some reason, these things take a lot of brain power, especially that hopper clock, which is in the middle there. I think that's specifically the etho design. If you guys want to replicate it, it's not my design. It's like the tileable etho design, I think. Yeah. Alright, I think we are right out of time for this episode. So why don't we go and make our map and outro? This will be the last map that's gonna fit in our bone meal farm. So hopefully next episode we will have some of that new area worked out, which I think is actually gonna be the focus of next episode. So stick around if you want to see what I do with those little hab centers for our new area. Man, I love this nether hub. This is probably the favorite nether hub that I've ever made. It's especially great since I don't have wings, because I'm trying not to go wings too fast in this playthrough. Also, geez, my voice is a lot lower. I guess it is bright and early in the morning, so voice hasn't quite woken up yet. I've suddenly become very conscious of what I sound like since recording. It also does mean, though, that I don't hate my voice as much as I did before, because now I hear it all the time. Alright, we got a lot of areas to cover today, so let's start with number 1. Ow. And then I think this is where I turn and go to the flower farm, I believe. I never really take this route for the flower farm unless I'm map making, and for me, the last map that I made was over 2 weeks ago. Also, if you are wondering where I get all these maps from, I have a cartographer villager just kind of chilling in the corner of my villager breeder zone. Okay, I got it. Cool. This is correct. It's just way in the corner, so it doesn't really look like it. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Ah. Oh yeah, I finally got feather falling on my boots, so hopefully I don't die as often to fall damage. Actually, while I was building the super smelter, I ended up falling because I broke a hole in the floor while I was putting in the lighting. And I fell, and last time I fell to my death, but this time I did not, which was awesome. Oh, I always forget that white foxes are a thing. Which is weird because I live in a snowy biome. Whoa, that was an interesting little lag spike there. Also, before anyone goes and lore analyzes that, that was literally just a lag spike. That was not edited. Oh, crap. Okay. My inventory is getting a little full. Very full. Ooh, is this gonna be perfect? I think it's gonna be perfect. full inventory. This is gonna be a challenge. I am struggling to figure out how to orient this thing. Okay, I'm gonna try and work backwards, because this is gonna be furthest from us. I think this is the strat. Okay. Oh, look at her. She's right smack in the middle of 6. Oh, that's awesome. I love how that turned out. She's beautiful. Also, yes, for some reason I act like an old sailor man and call ships she. They're all ladies. So, you can probably tell why I just put some paintings on the staircase, because this ain't gonna fit. Nope. It ain't. So, this is our map for episode 14. Ta-da! Lovely. Yep, it's huge. Okay. I think the next map I might need to make, like, smaller. You know how you can, like, zoom out maps, right? Yeah. That might have to be the deal. But next episode, we're going to be making a new building for our maps, and they're going to double as some more storytelling elements of being like some little hab centers for our villagers. I'm probably going to put some of our librarian villagers in there, and I think we are good to go for next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!